It's okay. So looks like we have 100% attendance today.
Yes.
All right. At this portion of our meeting, we will open it up for those who have anything pertaining to pertaining to the agenda can speak at this time. And I believe this is an item where we're moving our city meetings that in the future, you only have one time to speak, and it's going to be at the beginning of the meeting instead of the end. So after the day, we will, our future meetings will have beginning of the meeting.
Okay.
Be open, no end. Okay, having said that, anyone wants to share with us this time about the agenda item? Seeing none, we'll move to the first item, which is approval of the May the 11th minutes. Have a motion to approve minutes. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. Minutes are approved. Our next item, we'll have Ms. Leslie give us the FY 24-25 Unified Planning Work Program.
Okay. This is something we do every year for Virginia, every 2 years for Tennessee. So basically, the Unified Planning Work Program lays out what we're going to be doing in the next year or two, as far as our salaries, our operating costs, what we're doing with our PL and our 5303 funds. So since Virginia and Tennessee are on different fiscal years, in May, we adopted the fiscal year 24 Virginia portion contingent on changes or edits by TDOT and Federal Highway. Since then, it has gone through TDOT and Federal Highway review. Any edits were made. And so the action today will be approving the fiscal year 24 and 25 UPWP as a final document. And the fiscal year 24 Virginia stuff did not change.
So are there any questions about the FY 24-25 Unified Plan
It was sent out and posted on July 31st. So
Any
you all should have got a
questions?
copy.
at this time?
I'll just make one comment, Mr. Chairman. It's never looked better.
Oh, wow, that's a good comment. Okay. Any more testimonies? Okay, well, if that's the case, can I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We have approval. Thank you very much. Next item is the ranking of projects for TDOT's consideration. Ms. Phillips.
Okay, you all know every November, we rank projects requested by TDOT, their state projects, for possible inclusion in the 3-year plan. 3-year plan usually comes out like April. The current 3-year plan is fiscal year 24 through 26. So we won't be ranking projects. I assume we'll do the same process as before in November of this year. Well, usually the MTPO also submits potential projects we would like TDOT to consider in the future, not ones that they have given us to rank. Well, last year they asked us not to do that as part of the ranking process, but to do it separately. With the new Transportation Modernization Act, that's what the commissioner talked about in February at the meeting, the $3 billion statewide, $750 million per region. That money will go towards one urban congestion project, one rural interstate widening project, Improve Act acceleration, state of good repair, and also their new statewide partnership program, which is what cities and counties applied for. The deadline was August 4th. So TDOT will be reviewing, of course, the applications for the statewide partnership program for potential funding, but also any state managed project. By the end of the year, they have to present to the legislators what they're going to do with this $3 billion. And again, it's $750 million per region. So everything I mentioned is going to be per region. They'll be presenting by the end of the year. So if we rank projects in November, I don't know that they'll have enough time to look at our rankings. And the ones we ranked last year, none of them made it in the 3-year plan. So the list up here shows the middle list is what's actually in our MPO area in the 3-year plan. So the Sullivan Gardens, the third section, which is the industrial area, and then the very first section of Memorial Boulevard. So from East Center Street to Briarwood, which is right past Harbor Chapel, those are both in there for construction, fiscal year 24 and then 25 for Memorial Boulevard. The top list are the ones that we ranked last year. And then the bottom list are the ones that we submitted in November of 2021 for future consideration. With them going through this process of reviewing all of the projects that the state manages, I think this is a good time for us to throw in those extra projects, but also reiterate our rankings from last November. So this is open for discussion. If you want to make any changes, if you feel like, hey, it's all good, we just leave it like it is, including the new projects we're wanting to consider. I truly don't think there'll be any new start projects, but it's not a bad idea to throw them in there. And what we'll do is compose a letter and I'll get Paul to sign it and we'll send it in just to say, hey, make sure you look at these.
Well, since I cannot read that from this distance.
It's in your agenda.
Okay. For then,
Second to last page.
okay, now, thank you.
A whole lot easier.
Yeah.
I have a question. The interchange improvements at 81 and 26. Is that something that would be a TDOT project and we're just supporting it? Because
Yeah,
it just keeps going down and down, like when they did that major study and.
yeah, it's been in all of their studies that they've had any interstate, because they did a Interstate 8140 study plus an Interstate 26, and it's on both of them.
Yeah,
But yeah, and it would be, to do what really needs to be done, it'd be a huge project. But yeah, I
it's
mean,
the
we have it as the top of our potential projects for them to look at.
okay.
So,
And we're not telling them which solution with this to do,
Okay,
but yeah, this is definitely this would be a all federal and state funded. Just us saying this is the highest priority that we know of the ones
in our,
in our area that
Okay.
y'all really want to look at adding to your list.
yeah. So it's not in PDOT's tip or state stick.
I mean, they may have it in some wide grouping with other stuff. I mean, they have the ability to look at other interchanges and do stuff. So I don't know. I can't say that it's not able, but as an individual project, it's not.
It's on regional one for I'll put it at that point.
Yeah.
Is the new infrastructure funding, do you think it opens up more of a possibility of that becoming reality?
my guess is there's so much out there already with the Improve Act. I don't know how much will be left over.
You look at 150 million here. Just to work with, we've got an extra 750 million thrown into it, so we got. Now, look at the traffic count here at 65,000 versus 210,000 Oxford. And I think that's gonna be part of it.
Well, that will always be the case.
Mhm.
That's true, but they have a system to system interchange that is not designed as a system to system interchange and has weaving problems. I mean, you've got 2 studies that have identified it as a major safety concern. So, and I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know you know all this, but now it's on
It
record.
is on there. It's on the radar. I've heard this board talk about it all. So when it's on his radar, it's.
Process.
Yeah, I want to see a picture of what of that.
Kind of scary mind.
So it seems like what we need to do is confirm what we have the ranking, or if we want to change the ranking.
Yes.
So I guess first question is, with the items that we have before us, do you want to question any item in the rank order that's in? If so, now's the time to do that. And so
Or if you're good with leaving them
or
as
leaving
they
or
were.
or confirming them as they are.
I motion that we confirm as they are, given the phase that they're in, it just makes logical sense.
Okay, we have a motion to confirm them as they are. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
You have a second, any questions? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye, confirming them as they are. And oppose, like sign. They're confirmed as they are. Now, the items that are not ranked, I guess we need to, you want to put them in order behind them, or how do you want to do that?
So everything's ranked now. These are already funded.
Okay,
These are two in the
okay.
middle are already funded.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we're good,
Yes, sir.
all right. So next item is federal and state partner updates. Ms.
So there-
Phillips,
There's nobody from Federal Highway on. Nobody from DRPT on. Blake, do you have any VDOT updates?
Yeah, the US 2358 Hilton Road intersection there at the gas station, that'll be going to public hearing here in the coming months. Yep, the US 2358 Hilton Road intersection, that project is going to go to public hearing in the coming months. I can get the specific date just so everyone's aware. So that project's moving forward. The other one I think we will need to add to the list is the US 23 Access Management. That one was funded in the last round of Smart Scale. I do not believe that project was advanced, and so PE on it isn't scheduled to start for until the coming years, so. And we have a pipeline study in Scott County on 58 that extends all the way out to the Hiltons. That corridor had a lot of needs associated with it, but as we dove into the corridor and we looked at the crash data and looked at the need that was present, it doesn't appear that project will move forward. So that study may end after the phase one. We're certainly not giving up on that stretch of roadway. We'll move it into the HRRR program, high rural rustic road program, I think, something like that. But that's within the traffic engineering department. So they're going to pick it back up and see maybe if shoulder widenings or something of that nature, rumble strips could be brought into that program.
Michael, will you promote Daniel and David, just in case they got updates? Because I missed Daniel.
Okay, I've got Eric promoted now. If you want to go on to him.
Okay, Eric, since you're already promoted to panelist, were you going to give the project updates that you would send over?
Sure, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right, good deal. All right. So I'm just gonna do a update over the projects we got in your area here. Before we get going, I know some of you are aware of this, but the department has recently begun looking at all of our programs and making sure they're fiscally constrained, just like we've been doing with the legislative projects. So with our bridge replacement program, we're been echo. We're doing this, so we're doing the same thing. Our program is fiscally constrained in a 3-year plan. So for Robinson Drive, our off-system bridge program has been identified fiscal year 2026 for that program. So that means the project would potentially let in the late 2025. That December 2025 will be the first one in 2026. We are currently finalizing the right-of-way plan. We have phase 2023. Potentially 12 to 15 months to complete that those acquisitions once we do begin. And then we're just waiting for funding for that project. Any questions on this one? All right, next project is another bridge replacement project, Sullivan State Route 93 bridge over CSX Railroad. This is a new start project. It has not been funded yet to begin preliminary design, so we are currently going to wait until the next round of funding comes in to see if that project gets funded. So right now, it's just a project that's waiting on funding. All right, Sullivan State Route 126. We have three projects now. We have originally we had pin 105-467.01, which was from in the city limits of Kingsport out to the Cooks Valley Road intersection. And then we had this section, which is from Cooks Valley Road to I-81 in Kingsport. This section has not yet been identified in the 3-year plan. Originally, that was for the right-of-way phase. As you are all probably aware now, once a project is identified in our legislative program in our 3-year plan, it is funded for the remaining phases. So instead of just saying we're waiting on funding for right-of-way, we're basically waiting on funding for the remaining phases. So we'll just be looking to see when that will get let. I'm sorry, when that will get funded. The original 105-467.01 project, due to the construction costs, it has been split into 2 projects, and that is 105-467.03. So that first section has been split at the Briarwood Road intersection. This section has been funded in the 3-year plan. It is funded in fiscal year 2025. The right-of-way acquisitions for that are being finalized. Of course, both sections, this and the adjacent section, which is 104. All the right-of-way is being bought together as part of the original 105-467.01 section. But we are doing the water quality permits and the environmental document. We've split that up so that we are just concentrating on this section so that we can go ahead and get this one section ready and certified. So that one will be looking at a 2025 letting. And then this section, since it's been split out, it will have to get funded separately for the construction phase. So we'll be looking at future 3-year plans for that one. All right, this is Sullivan State Route 36, which is starts in Washington County at State Route 75 and then on into Sullivan County to the I-81 interchange. This is the 3rd section of a corridor projects for State Route 36 starting in Johnson City. It's a very early start project. It's also awaiting funding and the funding for your plan. State Route 307, Rock Springs Road. This is also in the preliminary design phase. It is also because it does have an understanding it will need to be funded in the future 3-year plan. So before the right-of-way phase can begin, we'll need that additional funding. State Route 93, 112-834.03. This is the final section of spot improvements for State Route 93 in Washington and Sullivan County. So this is the final section. You have to go to construction, and we have got funding for this project in fiscal year 2024. We are getting very, very close. We've had let's see, we're about to preparing to have a construction field review. So Kingsport representatives should be seeing a meeting invite for that probably in the next week or so. But this project is starting to get very close to construction. We're working on getting that in a 2024 letting this year, next year.
Looks like that's the last one on the ones that you sent over, Eric.
Okay, there was a couple more projects that. I believe the next one was the I-81 ITS expansion. And that one's being managed out of our traffic ops headquarters in Nashville. And they are, let me pull that up here because that's got an update from them. So they're working on the bidding final right-of-way plan. It is one that will have to be identified for construction. So, but it should start right away. Right-of-way acquisitions that are necessary for that one. And then that final project, we have a MMAG grant to add bicycle and pedestrian facilities. I think that's what the Colonial Heights sidewalks is referring to. That's a very early start project. We are currently looking at letting that in 2025. We're still very early on in that process. We've met with with City of Kingsport, Michael Thompson and his staff to kind of discuss the scope of that one. So the resurfacing that goes, that's in that section is gonna be kind of held up based off the sidewalk project and and some railroad coordination that needs to be done. So that more likely that resurfacing project will be bracketed with, or will take place after the sidewalks are put in place. So we're still very early on. We're hoping to get that construction in 25 or 26. So is there any specific questions about any of those projects I mentioned?
Doesn't seem to be so. Thank you for joining today.
Sure.
Jason, since we're talking about projects, do you want to go ahead?
So.
Get one so that Eric knows what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. The John B. Dennis Bridge on State Route 93 near Eastman, be the one on over the Holston River. They started the work on it about 2 weeks ago, reducing it to one lane. We're in phase one of that one. We removed the asphalt wearing surface off the bridge deck, and contractors currently tearing the parapet wall off the eastern side of the bridge. That one due to the previous bridge repair on State Route 93 over Shipley Street and some environmental constraints that we had to do. We have given the contractor Summers Taylor a time extension until March of 2025. So we were basically on that job. We were basically removing the deck and doing steel repairs to the beams and putting a new deck on that bridge. So we'll have 3 phases of construction. With traffic shifts involved in all 3 of those. So right now we're looking at about 7 months till we do our next traffic shift. And they'll be moving traffic to the outside while we work on the middle of the bridge, the next phase. The next one that was on your list is the State Route 93 improvements to Washington Sullivan County section Bluff. That project is substantially completed with some striping left to be done and some snow plowable markers. And basically getting the environmental permit terminated on that portion of the contract. That contract is tied to another larger contract that's still going and has gotten time extensions on that phase of the contract. 2 projects that we've got as well that is in your MTPO area is the SIA serving Project Smoky here in Kingsport. That job has been delayed starting. It was awarded to Summers Taylor. It's been delayed starting due to the delivery of signal poles, and with the traffic control that has to be done at 2 of the locations, the contractors decided to delay starting until poles have been shipped from the manufacturer. That way that we can get working on that. That one has changed to an April of 24 completion date. Right now with pole deliveries and everything, contractor expects to start on that job on September 11th of this year. The other one is the State Route 75 project there from the Northeast State and the airport, going from basically Centenary Road, Muddy Creek Road back to Airport Parkway. We're in phase one of our traffic shift started on that one. We've got it down to one lane with barrier walls up and a traffic shift going on so we can start grading and utility relocations on the one side. That job's supposed to be done in September of 24. That's like the ones we have in your MPO.
Remember the email I sent out about
You want to use microphone?
Highway 93?
Just leave it where it's at.
Okay. So State Route 93, okay. Those improvements, regardless of when they happen, can you describe the impact it might have on Horse Creek?
So you're talking about the homes there in Horse Creek Park. So now, I've had previous conversations with Mr. Davis about that, about his property in the floodplain. And what we were waiting on then for him to be able to get some information was we're actually waiting on our structures report. What type of bridge we were putting back at Horse Creek. We are taking it right now. It is at a Y intersection with 93. When we're done with the job, it'll be a perpendicular intersection, so we'll get a new bridge, an entry point there. We sent that information to down the road. Copied you back on the response that we're sending it down the road. So Stacy would be he's now the manager over the design division. Eric might be able to help us out on getting that information as well, but we don't know what structures type is what we were waiting on the last time. Because he had asked about needing to know because of insurance ratings and floodplains and all that, considering that whole front side is in a floodplain. So,
And he's doing a letter of amount provision based on bill, and then we just don't know if it should approve it or not, if it's gonna be further impacted.
and I know that there's areas in that job that we're gonna be putting a significant amount of fill on our roadway as well.
We already get complaints about flooding on
Mhm,
other farms and existing landowners on Horse Creek. So,
mhm.
thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna backtrack to DRPT because Daniel Wagner is on. I was looking for Tiffany, but Daniel's on for DRPT. So Daniel, if you want to unmute yourself.
Afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
I'll be quick with our update. I've also sent a digital copy via email for folks. If Leslie, you want to distribute that, should folks have questions afterwards. But tomorrow at 10 a.m., DRPT will be hosting a transit planning and commuter assistance grant recipient workshop. So this 90-minute webinar will provide information and next steps for all of DRPT's public transit, MPO, and commuter assistance grant recipients. And we'll of course have opportunities for Q&A as folks pursue reimbursements for the grants that they've received. We'll cover everything from grant admin procedures, agreements, DRPT oversight, and performance data. So you can register via a link that I have provided in the digital copy of our agency update. And again, that's tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then lastly, just wanted to make folks aware, FTA released transit-oriented development planning NOFO, which will make available more than $13 million to support comprehensive or site-specific planning associated with new fixed guideway and core capacity improvement projects. And so if you're wanting to see more information on that planning NOFO, it's definitely an awesome opportunity for transit agencies and localities who are interested in transit-oriented development and want some grant support in planning for those projects. But that's all I have from us. If folks have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Tiffany or I. And again, I shot over a digital copy of our update to Leslie for distribution if folks want more information. Thank you.
Thanks. David Jones with the airport is on. David, you should be able to unmute yourself if you have a update. I'm guessing not. Okay, TDOT updates. Michelle is on, but I didn't know if she wanted to do the funding database. Let's see. I'm gonna have to stop sharing and go back and share a different screen. Stop share. Share. Michelle, did you want to talk about the funding database or did you want Troy or Rhonda to talk about it?
Sorry, Leslie, I'm actually driving right now, so it took me a second to find the right buttons. And you might hear a little voice in the background. I had to pick her up from school for an appointment, but yeah, so our funding database went live in it's the end of June. And to get to this, you can just Google TDOT Transportation Funding Database. It currently comes up as like the 6th or 7th result. Or you could Google TDOT OCT and it comes up on our OCT landing page on the TDOT website at the bottom. So I spent probably about a year getting this. Any and all transportation programs that could apply to any level of transportation project. So we're talking things as simple as putting in like bike racks or the smaller scale kind of program funding opportunities, all the way up to like multi-million-dollar projects for something really big. So all of that data is housed in our funding database and will be updated probably on about a monthly basis. I've got quite the list right now of updates to make. So using the tools at the top, you can search by category. So if you just wanted things that were applicable to bike ped projects, you can scroll right down there and click that. And then the database will just pull up those few, and there's a nice blue button at the top that says clear, and that's how you're going to clear out that information as well. You can also search it just by agency. Oh. Sorry, I might have got some feedback. You can search it by agency as well. So if you're looking specifically for the TDOT programs, you can find that way. If you're looking for and lots of encourage anybody to take a look and see what programs are out there and what kind of projects they could be applying funding opportunities to. Anytime that we can bring in outside money, it's always a good thing. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to take them. Or if Troy's in the room and wants to talk instead, that works for me too.
You can also scroll to the right and it gives you more information on it. Matches, that kind of stuff.
Contact people.
The links.
That's awesome.
And if there's any of you are aware of that are not on here, if you have to want to provide feedback, there's a form up here for that too.
This is Michelle's brainchild. She made this thing. She can update it. She keeps it live. So if you see something needs to go in there, I was telling Blake that with Virginia stuff. But if there's something FHWA related, FTA, saw the list there. You think needs to be on there? Let us know. We can get it working.
And this is anything transportation related that she's come across regardless of the agency. So,
That's awesome.
but if you're wanting like playground equipment or something, it wouldn't be on here. Let me go back to my other list. Okay, is there anything else from TDOT? Nope. Let's go to transit agencies. Candace or Candace?
Hi, good afternoon. Quick updates on the.
Would you come up and speak on my phone, please? Thank you.
Pass it down the.
We gotta say, I gotta see here.
Okay, I'll sit right. I'll sit wherever you tell me. Thank you. Excuse me. Didn't mean to cause such a disturbance. Okay, I'll do a couple quick updates for Net Trans. You've been hearing us talk about our new routing software. We are in the implementation process right now. We go live 2 weeks from today. So we're very excited about that. So you'll start seeing the new Net Trans mobile app. It'll have a lot of customer focused improvements to it, like being able to book and pay for their rides online, see their van in real time when they're coming, get their own ETAs, that type of stuff. So the company we are using is EcoLane. So we're really excited about that. We issued a contract yesterday for 10 vehicles. We've not been able to procure vehicles for some time due to just the the shortages. So we're expecting those within the next 3 months. We are hiring van drivers. So I want like everyone in the room that hears me to tell everybody that they know. Yeah, I actually tried that at Bristol this morning. It's great for someone who's retired that just wants to get out of the house for a little while, interact with the public. We think it's a really good gig. And then the last update I'll give is we're also hiring for a grants manager position. So I think I covered everything.
What type of vehicles are y'all being able to purchase right now?
We're purchasing Ford Transit T350s. We've always operated the T150s because they're more fuel efficient, but they are no longer available. So we've purchased Transit T350s. It has been, and that was a long time coming. Oh, I'm sorry, I did leave one thing out. We hope by the end of this week to be able to start advertising that we are accepting proposals to expand our parking lot or our maintenance facility in Elizabethton. So include pavement, lighting, all of the elements of the project. Anybody have any questions? Comments? Okay, so I'll pass it to Candace, the other Candace.
Okay,
Thank you,
Candace.
Hello, Candace here with CATS, Kingsport Area Transit Service. The update that we have is we are also in the process of procuring the software. It's been a long time in coming. We are also going with EcoLane, and we don't have a live date yet. We've been working with EcoLane, and we're still in the process of that. So we have a new transit garage, and if you've passed by there, you've seen it. And if you haven't, please do so. We're finishing up a few things. We've got a couple little glitches we're working through, nothing huge. We are hauling away a lot of dirt. You may have seen that we had a mound of dirt there that we're in the process of getting rid of. And then we will be having a ribbon cutting. So that will be exciting. And we will want anyone and everyone that wants to come to that to do so. And then we are also hosting our 6th annual driving rodeo. That's happening this Saturday, and that's always a fun event. For those of you who don't know, that's where we set up driving courses and our drivers compete and kind of show off and showcase their driving skills. And then it's always a fun day, and we host a picnic. Leslie and Bill are going to be judges for that, along with several other people. And if you ever want to be a judge, we could use you anytime. So, and then top 1st and 2nd place winner will go on to compete at state in September. So, and this year that will be in Memphis. So I think that's it for the CATS updates. Anybody have any questions for us? Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any updates on the city projects, Michael?
Greenbelt continues to be in West End, the design phase. We've got a meeting next week to discuss utility conflicts and how we're going to address those. Brickyard, Bike and Ped Bridge. We have come to an agreement with CSX and waiting on them to provide we've come to a verbal agreement. We're waiting on the written agreement so that we can take it to the Board of Mayor and Alderman so that we can move forward. But essentially, we have agreed to close the vehicular crossing there and instead put in the bike ped crossing. So we're working on the plan, what kind of fencing and everything like that we want to do. And that's where that's at. Main Street, it continues with utility work, primarily started on storm work, sewer work, and most of the water work is done in the first phase, moving on to storm right now. Island Road's really in a holding pattern right now. Resurfacing is at the end of the right of way phase, group one is, we're hoping any month now to get, notice to proceed with construction on that one. And I believe group two is still hung up in contract.
Got the contract, the LGIP is not set up yet.
The account. So it's at the very beginning of its life of the project. I believe that's all of the.
And with the statewide partnership program I was talking about, Kingsport did submit 2 applications for that. One was for Meadowview Parkway because it was part of the first resurfacing grouping, but it came in so high, it had to be pulled from that grouping. So we submitted it as one project and then submitted the second resurfacing grouping as a separate project because we're really not sure what they're looking for. I think state routes will take priority, but we tried to link like, okay, Meadowview Parkway links Interstate 26 to State Route 126. And the other 2, then that grouping 2 is Eastman Road and Clinchfield. So major roads. The urban, go ahead.
Curious if any other entities, did the county or any of the other cities apply for one of those partnership grants?
I hadn't heard anything and they were supposed to work with the MTPO if they were, so I hadn't heard from anybody else. The urban transportation planning grant, we're wrapping up the State Route 93, State Route 1 study. It will be presented to the board, mayor and alderman at the September meeting. And there's only one meeting in September. Is it the 18th and 19th or whatever that Monday and Tuesday is? They'll present at the work session. So they're finalizing that document to send the draft to send to us for review. And in the November meeting, we will be looking at the urban area adjustment. So as y'all know, part of the census process is we have to look at the urban area and adjust our boundaries. And then we look at the planning area. So November will actually be looking at the urban area adjustments will be the big item on that agenda. That's all I have.
Okay, we have 4 meetings. Please.
Some of you already know me,
Well,
Mike.
but let's make it official, please.
Okay, I'm Ken Taggart. I'm a resident of Fort Henry Drive, Highway 36. Troy, I'm sure you know me. And yeah, well, I don't know. I brought some pictures to show some of y'all because I don't think you realize how bad the traffic has become. And I'd like to give you an idea. This is a typical day between 4:30. I'm sorry, I think I had another copy of these somewhere. Between 4:30 and 6:30, or actually in the morning between 6:30 and 9:30 in the morning. And what we me and the rest of the residents would like to know what is the start date on this project? And also the other question is, when last time I was in here, it seemed like this project was number 3 on the list, and now we're number 5. How did we get pushed back by the Rock Springs project? Because if we go based on traffic count, I'm sure that Highway 36 has much more of a traffic count than Rock Springs. So how did they get priority over us? Anybody?
It actually moved up in ranking from last year. It was number 6 and it moved to number 5.
Yeah, but I think we were ahead of Rock Springs. I'm not even sure Rock Springs was on there a couple of years ago. It just all of a sudden popped up. How did it get in front of us? What's the criterion for making the determination on that?
Jimmy.
And as you can notice by these pictures, the traffic is so bad that you can't even see how much traffic there is because it's up over the hill. That's the pictures going towards Johnson City. And the last picture is one shot towards Kingsport. And again, it's going down the hill. So you can't tell how many cars are coming. There are so many cars that build up at the traffic lights between on I-81 and Fort Henry Drive. They stop there and they get bunched up. And there as many as 30 cars at one time I have counted. And the same way from the other direction, when you get to the intersection of Bob Higgs Highway or 75 in Fort Henry Drive. I cannot get out of my driveway, especially if I'm going to Johnson City during rush hour, because if the traffic isn't bumper to bumper from one direction, by the time those cars go by, then they're coming from the other direction. We need this highway fixed. We need the turning lane so I can at least get out of my driveway so I can make the turn. To go to Johnson City right now, I have to turn right, go towards Kingsport, turn around in the old Midway Hardware parking lot to go to Johnson City. Because I can't make, it's not safe to go across 2 lanes of traffic. And if there's the excuse for putting 93 in before this project was that they needed a off ramp when there was an accident. Well, we are the detour for not only for I-81 when there's an accident, but we're also the one for I-26. So if that was a criterion you were going to use for putting 93 ahead of us, we should have went first. Because there's an accident on I-26 about once a week, if not more. So when are we going to get this project started? I mean, there was people out there 2 or 3 years ago doing surveys. That's the last we've seen anybody out there, other than an occasional traffic count meter be putting across the highway. There was one there 2 weeks ago, and I asked the gentleman what the traffic count was, and he couldn't tell me. So maybe you guys can tell me.
What I will comment about this public comment section is time for you to make a comment. There, you will not get a response back from us. You make.
I haven't heard any.
You won't get one. You won't get one.
Why not?
Because
That's what we're here for.
You're here, your comment. You give me your comment. If you want a personal conversation, you have it after the meeting. That you're addressing the board, and it's not a give and take back and forth. We don't do back and forth. So once you make your comment, you can have your seat. And the person you want to address after the meeting can address you after the meeting.
Which one should I address?
Which way you guys want to talk to him after the meeting?
Anybody?
For us, it's gonna be the same answer.
Okay.
It has to be approved in the 3-year plan. It's not approved in the 3-year plan, so they can't give any funding right now.
Well, can you give me a definite answer on whether the funding, one minute we're told the
Like
funding.
Like I said before, we will not give it back and forth. You can talk to him after the meeting and then they'll get your answer. Thank you, sir. You have 2 minutes left.
Well, you know, if
Can't get back and forth.
we can't get back and forth, I guess I'm not gonna, and I'm not getting any answers anyway. So I guess I guess I'm done here.
Thank you, sir, for your time. Anyone else from the public want to speak? Okay, any other comments from the board? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Have a good day.